If you want to know how Oklahoma City built a potential dynasty, you have to go all the way back to Seattle. The year's 2007. Clay Bennett has just bought the Sonics. He needs somebody to run his team. So he hires a young executive with the Spurs named Sam Presti. He's well known around the league as the guy who convinced him to draft Tony Parker. He's one of the brightest young minds in basketball. And when he takes over the Sonics, he immediately goes about remaking the roster. He drafts Kevin Durant, he trades Ray Allen, he makes all of these big moves to set his team up for the future. Just not quite in the way that you're thinking. The most important move that Sam Presti made in the summer of 2007 involved a mostly forgotten free agent that left his team. Rashard Lewis was an all-star for the Sonics, but he was about to become one of the most expensive players in the NBA right as they were going to rebuild. So he's a free agent. He agrees to a 6-year, $118 million contract with the Orlando Magic. The problem was, at the time, you could only get a 6-year deal if it was with your original team. So Lewis had to structure it as a sign-and trade when he left for Orlando. That allowed Sam Presti to get a $9 million trade exception that he could use to absorb another contract. 9 days later, Robert Sarver decided that his 61-win Phoenix Suns were just too expensive. So, as he so often did, he decided to shed some salary. He paid the Sonics 2 first-round picks to absorb the contract of Kurt Thomas. Phoenix's 2008 first-round pick essentially built the modern-day Thunder. In 2008, right as the Thunder were moving to Oklahoma City, they made the most important draft pick in franchise history. No, it wasn't Russell Westbrook at number 4, it was Serge Ibaka at number 24 with one of those Phoenix picks that they got. Ibaka turned out to be a defensive star for them. He helped them reach the finals in 2012, but his most important contribution to the franchise came on draft night in 2016. That's when the Thunder traded him to the Magic for Victor Oladipo and the draft rights to the number 11 pick, Domantas Sabonis. 1 year later, they traded Oladipo and Sabonis to the Indiana Pacers for Paul George. Now you know where this is going. 2 years after that, the Thunder traded Paul George to the Clippers for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Danilo Gallinari, 5 first-round picks, and 2 first-round swaps. So a free agent that left in 2007 ultimately got the Thunder the 2025 MVP. But he also got him his sidekick, because one of those Clippers picks was the number 12 overall choice in the 2022 NBA draft. The Thunder used that pick on Jalen Williams. Only 7 teams in NBA history have ever won 68 games in a regular season. One of them got both of their All-Stars through the same innocuous transaction. The Thunder are more than just their stars. They have a chance to be a dynasty because of their depth and because of all the draft picks they've accumulated. So let's go back to the George trade for a second, map out some of the moves that followed. A few days later, they traded Russell Westbrook to the Rockets for Chris Paul, 2 first-round picks, and 2 first-round swaps. Those draft picks haven't borne fruit yet, but Paul was important for 2 reasons. Obviously, he mentored Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, but he also played well enough to get the Thunder into the playoffs and to raise his trade value back up. So after the season, the Thunder decide to rebuild. They trade Paul to the Phoenix Suns. They get a handful of role players and a first-round pick. One of those role players was Kelly Oubre, who they immediately traded to the Golden State Warriors for another first-round pick and a second-round pick. That second-round pick, number 55 overall, turned out to be key bench player Aaron Wiggins. Once the Thunder traded Paul, they were ready to tank. They did so actively for 2 years and then got a 3rd lottery pick out of their play-in berth in 2023. All 3 of those picks turned out to be critical players for the Thunder moving forward. In 2021, they had the 4th worst record in the NBA. On lottery night, they fall to number 6. They miss out on Jalen Suggs, they miss out on Scotty Barnes, but they do get Josh Giddey. 3 years later, they traded Giddey for Alex Caruso. They jump up and they take Chet Holmgren at number 2 in the 2022 NBA draft. In the 2023 NBA draft, the Thunder are sitting at the number 12 slot. Problem was, they wanted Cason Wallace and they were nervous that Orlando was going to take him at number 11. So they wisely jump up to number 10, and all it costs to do so is some cap space. They absorb the contract of Davis Bertans from the Dallas Mavericks. That allows them to get Wallace at number 10. One of the most important players on their team was an undrafted free agent. In 2019, they find Lou Dort. They signed him to a 2-way deal. They knew they had a diamond in the rough almost immediately. By the playoffs, he was a starter guarding James Harden. Finding great players is one thing. Keeping them, especially in the age of the aprons, is usually another. The cost control strategy that the Thunder have used has been to re-sign their players to long-term extensions as early as possible. So Dort, Wiggins, and Isaiah Joe all had team options on the last year of their original Thunder contracts. Oklahoma City could have kept them at basically the minimum for those last years, but instead, what they did was decline those team options, so all three of them would be restricted free agents. That meant they could get paid, but their markets were going to be pretty restricted, and the Thunder used that to lock all of them into long-term team-friendly deals. None of these contracts included big annual raises. In fact, some of them actually saw the salary decline with time. With the salary cap expected to rise by 10% for the next few years, these contracts are going to look more and more like bargains with each passing season. That shrewd cap management helped clear the way for the Thunder to get their last major piece. In the second round of last year's postseason, the Thunder got bludgeoned on the glass by the Dallas Mavericks. They knew that they needed another big man, so they set their sights on Isaiah Hartenstein. Hartenstein was coming off of a great season with the Knicks, and New York wanted to re-sign him. The problem was they had only signed him to a 2-year deal as a free agent in 2022. That meant when they wanted to re-sign him in 2024, they only had his early bird rights. They could only offer him a 70% raise instead of paying him anything up to the max. So without cap space, they were limited to offering him only around $16 million in the first year of a new deal. The Thunder, on the other hand, had cleared out extra cap space at the deadline by trading some of their extraneous young players to the Hornets for Gordon Hayward. The Hayward trade helped the Thunder clear out enough cap space to pay Hartenstein $30 million to play for them this season, but also to structure the deal in a way that benefited their dynastic ambitions. The contract is only guaranteed for 2 seasons. The third is a team option. Now, why does that matter? Well, because the third season is when the rookie deals for Chet Holmgren and Jalen Williams end, and they get expensive. That's the secret to Oklahoma City's potential longevity. They've designed their balance sheet in such a way that they can easily shed salary whenever their best players get expensive. One of the most amazing things about this year's Thunder run is that they actually have a lottery pick who hasn't played for them. Remember the Westbrook trade that we mentioned earlier? Oklahoma City used Houston's 2024 first-round pick to select Nikola Topic. He's recovering from a torn ACL, so he hasn't played this season, but he'll be back next year to give the Thunder yet another young weapon. Took almost 20 years, but Sam Presti has now effectively built a cap-proof contender. They have 3 stars in their 20s, they have role players locked into affordable contracts, and they have the assets they need to trade for basically any player in the NBA. And just think, it all started with a free agent that the NBA has mostly forgotten, leaving the Seattle Supersonics.